Good morning, owners, and welcome to the Week 13 review. Pretty low-scoring week, though it was interesting. It was full of low scores. Going into Monday night, there was only one team, Sheboygan Headbangers, who had already reached the 100-point mark. Two more were there by the time the dust settled in Foxborough. But only one game was decided in that Monday night matchup, and that will be our game of the week. We've got the Chili Dogs versus Master Killer. Teams were tied at 77 going into the Monday night game. Dogs get 7 from Santonio Holmes to beat the division leader Master Killer 84-77. Dogs had 3 in double digits in this one. 23 from Schaub on 337 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. G-Men D had another big game, this one against the hapless Redskins. They put 22 on the board, including 6 turnovers in that one. And finally, Steven Jackson had his second best game of the year, scoring 19 on 102 yards and 1 touchdown in that St. Louis game. 4 in double digits for Master Killer, led by the Rams D. The Rams D? Okay. They had 20 points, allowing just 6 points and 224 yards to the John Skelton-led Arizona Cardinals. Look for him on a waiver wire near you. Let's see. Andre Johnson had 17 on 149 receiving yards. Way back on Thursday night, that one was, in that Fantasy Feast game versus Philadelphia. Forte had 15. Colston had 12. Colston, double digits in 5 of his last 6 weeks after 0 double-digit games in his first 6 weeks. 300-yard games and 5 touchdowns in that span as well for Colston, really heating it up as we come down the stretch. Back to Sheboygan Headbangers. As mentioned, they were the only 100-point team going into Monday night. They beat T-Dub 108-51. Now, 108 points represents not only the high score of the week, but also the blowout of the week as they top T-Dub by 57 points in that game.
It's my turn.
We got a special guest star here. Step in here.
I want to play
the rooster.
My toys.
You can't play the toys in my movie, man.
But
let's see. 5 in double digits for Sheboygan Headbangers with MJD rushing for a career high, 186 yards and 24 points in that one. Another late starter, 6 double-digit game in a row for MJD. 5 of those 6 games over 100 yards. He only had 2 of his first 6 in double digits and only 100-yard game at the beginning of the season. Jacobs also scored 24 on 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. Matt Ryan, 16, Steeler D, 14, and Donald Driver, 13 for the winner. 2 in double digits for T-Dub. Rivers, 15, Garcon, 12 as T-Dub loses his 8th game in a row. This guy made it to the Super Bowl last year? What's that all about? Mambunga beats the Monkeys by 34, 107-73. 4 in double digits for Mambunga, with Rogers leading the way. 298 passing yards, 3 touchdowns for Rogers, equaling 32 points. His 4th game in a row over 30 points for Rogers. His catching partner, Jennings, also scores big, 26 on 122 and 2 touchdowns. Jags D, 17. And little Danny Woodhead gets 13 on 104 receiving yards. That's running back Danny Woodhead getting 104 receiving yards. I don't know if you caught Danny. I don't know if you caught Danny Woodhead in the post-game interview, but he looks like he's about 16 years old. Oh, Bear, I need you to do me a favor and not touch the camera, okay? If you want to come on this side, you can. Apparently, I've got a new director as well. So let's see, that 13 points from Danny Woodhead pushed Mambunga over the 100-point mark on that Monday night game. 3 in double digits for the Monkeys, 30 from AP on 107 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns, including a 43-yard romp. 15 from Flacco and 10 from Witten. Last team to reach 100 points was the Pitons. They give the Cannons a 2nd straight loss, 102-88. 3 in double digits for the Pitons. They were led by 32 points by Reggie Wayne. 200 receiving yards in this one for Reginald Wayne. Another career high. So 2 players setting career highs in yardage this week. He also had a touchdown in that Dallas game. 22 from Foster on 109 total yards and 2 scores. 24 points from Breeze on 313 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's see what we got here. 4 in double digits from the Cannons, with Vic leading the way. Again, 34 points on 302 passing yards, 48 rushing yards, 3 total touchdowns. Vic, at least 25 points in 7 of his 9 games played. I have another new director. Eddie, why don't you come on this side? So let me get back to that. So at least 25 points in 7 of the 9 games that Vic has played in. Of those other 2, one of them was the game he got hurt. He only had 2 points and then went out with the injury. The other one, 19 points. So yes, Vic continues to light it up. Said Ben, 17, Pac D, 12, and Mason Crosby, 10 for the losers. Cats get a late scare from Pilot Lights, but hold on for the 84-77 win. Wes Welker comes up big for Pilot Lights on Monday to make it close, but the win gives the Cats the inside track to the Bryan Division crown. Cats had 5 in double digits, led by 23 from No Sean Moreno on 161 rushing yards. Cutler and Turner each had 14. Calvin Johnson had 12, and Akers had 10. 4 in double digits for the Lights. 24 from McCoy on 130 total yards and 2 touchdowns. The Seahawk D had 17, including a defensive touchdown. Welker's 14, and then Garrett Hartley 10. Big story in this one, Brady on the Pilot Light bench with 39 points. I commented during the game last night for that Jets-Patriots game. 137 total fantasy points scored in that. Most of them scored by Patriot players. Of those 137 points scored, 89 were on people's benches. So no faith in the Patriots. Alright, granted, Jets got a good D. Alright, I'll give it to you. The matchup wasn't great, but we steamrolled. Another game determining a divisional leader was the Super Simon versus Rockers matchup. Rockers winner of 5 coming in to this week, last week's games. Simon winner of 2 going into that and looking to move into a tie with a win. And they get it. They hold on 77-70. A late burst by Bolden and a no-show by the Gronk is the difference in this one. Let's run down the scores. Simon, 4 in double digits, led by Manning. Manning with only 5 first-half points, ends up with 20. He did have another 4 picks in that, but he did have 365 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bolden ends up with 19 on 118 yards and a touchdown. 5 of those points coming in that final drive, including catches that put him over 100 points for the bonus. Ravens D 13 and Thomas Jones 10. The Rockers also had 4 in double digits. The rushing attack of Charles and new free agent pickup James Stewart had 15 apiece. Mike Williams, Tampa Bay had 12. The Dolphins D had 10. The Simon win moves them into first place tie with the Rockers in the Quagmire division. Alright, so that's last week's games. Let's take a quick look at these divisional races. I'll tell you what, I've been saying this. How long have I been saying this? Weeks and weeks and weeks. Nothing's changed. This is the tightest race in Peanut Butter Jelly Time League history. We got 6 games this week. Of the 6 games, 5 of them have playoff implications. The only game that does not have a playoff implication is the Master Killer. Game. Essentially, he's clinched he's clinched the Stewie division. If he wins, obviously he maintains his first place. If he loses, Sheboygan Headbanger wins. They would both end up at 8-6 and tied. But Master Killer owning Sheboygan Headbangers in the head-to-head, winning, sweeping this series, the season series. And so they would hold on through the tiebreaker. So it looks like Master Killer wraps up his division this week. Doesn't, not to mention the fact that he's playing T-Dub, essentially the worst team in the league, loser of 8 in a row, as I already mentioned. So Master Killer looking pretty good. So 4 teams at 8-5, 3 teams at 7-6. Let's run down the matchups. First of all, let's look at the Quagmire division. We got the Rockers versus Pitons. Rockers win, and they're in as wild card if Simon wins. If they win and Simon loses, Rockers take division. The breakdown on that one is if the Rockers win, even if Sheboygan Headbangers win, they're still 1 game behind. So Rockers would get in as the wild card team. So Simon versus Loose Cannons. If Simon wins or the Rockers lose, they're in as Quagmire champion. If we both win, we would have split the head-to-head series. We would both have the same divisional record, and it will come down to points, with the Rockers needing to outscore Simon by like 60 points or some crazy thing like that this week. So again, Simon really with the inside track to the division crown. But both games, Rockers versus Pitons, Simons versus Loose Cannons, tough games. Moving on to the Bryan division, Cats versus Mambunga. It's pretty simple. Cats win, they're in. They would take the Bryan division by virtue of record because of their win this week over the Pilot Lights. Pilot Lights versus Monkeys. If they win and the Cats lose, they would be tied in the head-to-head. But Pilot Lights would have the better divisional record in this scenario. That's with the Cats losing, the Pilot Lights winning. So Pilot Lights could sneak in as the Bryan divisional champ. Both teams, no matter what happens to the Rockers, would be behind the Rockers in wild card tiebreakers because both teams lost to the Rockers. So even if they both win and the Rockers lose, the Rockers would still beat out either one of those guys for a wild card berth. Sheboygan Headbangers versus Chili Dogs. A win for the Sheboygan Headbangers and a loss for the Rockers. Sheboygan Headbangers are in as a wild card. If they win, and we already talked about that, if they win and Master Killer lose, Master Killer still owns the head-to-head. If the Rockers lose and the Sheboygan Headbangers win, and I would have to double-check the tiebreakers between the Cats and the Lights. I think Sheboygan Headbanger owns those tiebreakers as well. Then Sheboygan Headbanger gets in as wild card. But I got to double check those. I got to double check those tiebreaker scenarios with Sheboygan Headbangers and the Pilot Lights, or the Cats. So, man, another long one. 13.5 minutes already. Real quick, pick'em update. Rockers unable to build on the 2 zeros that Mambunga and Cats with Guns dropped last week. They only get 2 points. Mambunga gets 4 points this week. All but wrapping up the pick'em. Mambunga stands at first place with 47. Rockers, second place, 41. And Cats in third place with 39, pretty much eliminated. So, what that means is the only way that we can even get this to a tiebreaker is that Mambunga throws up a 0 and the Rockers get all 6 right. Mambunga needs 1 game right. All we need is 1 pin, Rodney. And Mambunga wraps this pick'em up. So, I got to get going. I'm at 14:15, and that's about as long as I can get on YouTube. An unbelievable week coming up, starting on Thursday night. Pick'em's open. Get your picks in. I will check you guys later. I'm loving this season.